So now that we have the way we created the what we called our delete server entry from our web API, and it's working in Postman, we can now move into making it work in our game. So for example, what I want to do is I have to compile it. What is it that's hidden? That I'm trying to make it show. But anyways, that little pop-up when we press back from the lobby and we press confirm, like yes to confirm our leave, that's where we want to fire the event or the function that will take down our server entry. We go over to the graph, we have host yes leave, that confirms our leave. What we do is check if we're the host. If we are, we call shutdown server. Shutdown server gets the game mode, gets the beacon host, and from the beacon host, it calls shutdown server, and that function is down right here. It's in our Nazi zombie beacon host object. So what we're going to do is remove server entry from data table right here. So after we disconnect all the clients, completely shut down the beacon and all that, we go ahead and we remove it from our database. So I have the web API running. Just make sure what we're going to do is copy all of this for our, well, actually, just from process request up to the HTTP request. And we're going to paste that right here and shut down server. So we're going to remove the set content as string, and we're going to remove this request bind. Now what we're going to do, so we look in Postman. Here's the URL that we use to delete. So what we do is it's just the API, the controller, and then the ID of the server that we want to delete. So what we can do is take host, we're just going to add a /, we're going to do a plus f string from int and then server ID. So we're converting our server ID to a string. So whenever we create the server ID gets assigned a value that's not -1 because it's -1 by default, and if it fails to create the server, it ends up being -1. So what we want to do is check. So if, I want to do it right actually up here. So if server ID does not equal -1, we make an attempt to delete the server from the list. So now we need to change the verb from post to delete, and then we can compile. So once shutdown server is called, create our HTTP request, and we set the URL with the UID, well, our UID at the very end, and we tell it that we want to delete. So it should run this here. So it's compiled. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Right, I'm going to load up the workbench, refresh. There are no entries. So let's host the game and refresh. Here's our entry and here's our server ID. Now when we hit back and hit yes to confirm the leave and we refresh, the entry is now gone. So once we created the entry, it is now vanished, and that's what we want. Can't remember if I set it up so every time I hit host it'll create. Okay, it does. So here's our new ID. Leave again, and it's gone. So that means it's working inside of our game. So that's what we wanted. In the next video, we will be adding a little bit of security to this by, well, probably not just yet. We may end up just using the default IP of 127.0.0.1. But what we want to do is we want to, because someone will, if they reverse engineer the game, they should be able to find this string here. And if they do, they will realize, okay, here's how you can delete entries by just calling things from the API. So what we want to do instead of just passing in a server ID, and then making a ton of delete requests for each number ranging from 1 to whatever, what we can do is we can pass in a server ID as well as our as well as we can get the IP address from ourselves, which but what I mean by that is the person that's trying to connect, we get that person's IP address and we match it up. So let me create just an entry real quick. So we check, okay, where the server ID equals this, and then we can check if the person's IP address also matches with the IP address in that log. So that way people can't try to troll or just mass delete servers for entries from the database. So we might do that next, or we might do a little bit of cleanup work. Not quite sure yet, but I will see you in the next one.